Michael Boyle's StrengthCoach.com presents the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. PerformBetter.com.
All right, hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Strength Coach Podcast. I'm Anthony Rena. Today I'm here with Sumit Seth, and Sumit is the founder at Naamly. Now you've heard me talk about Naamly in the intro. He's been sponsoring the Hit the Gym with a Strength Coach segment for a while now. And I always say Naamly is the member experience platform for modern training gyms. It puts all of your communication with your members in one place, allowing you to keep track of that communication. So important for retention, which I believe is one of the pieces that a lot of gym owners don't worry about. But, you know, that's coming from me. And I've been trying to get him on for a while to really explain exactly what they do at Naamly. And this is really a preview for, we're going to be starting a new segment with Naamly. And so I wanted to kind of give everybody a preview of what Naamly is. And Sumit's going to start really digging deeper into this whole idea about member experience. So Sumi, as I like to call him, I leave the T off. That's my nickname for him. Sumi, thanks for doing this, bud.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, first of all, I really did want to go over this because I feel like a lot of people, if they don't go on, we have our little, they can go to Naamly and basically use the referral code Strength Coach to get a 30-day free trial. They can get a demo, which is really important with something like this. But I still wanted you to come on and really give everybody an overview of what you guys do and how important to me is what you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah. So I guess the simplest way of explaining and describing what we do is we eliminate, we activate, and we elevate. So we want to eliminate things that I found while working with trainers and my coaches and training gym owners is that there's so much of mundane day-to-day operational things that the gym owner does, like they're trying to create these spreadsheets that has information from MyFitnessPal. There's data about the person sitting in your CRM. There's data sitting about the person in another spreadsheet that you maintain. It's all over the place, but and because the data about the person sits in so many places, trying to piecemeal that together is like a full-time job, right? If you're doing that kind of effort day in and day out, what really ends up happening is that you lose sight of the few people. They just slip through the cracks, they slip through the fingers, and those are the very people that signed up on the promise that you'll make their life better. So we wanted to eliminate that angle and we automate those pieces. So that's one of our biggest tenets. What all can we eliminate? And we eliminate all of that by automating it so we can consolidate it in one place. So you have member information, their measurements, their date of birth, their anniversaries, all of that in one place. So now that you have that information, you can now do the activate part. You can do more of the actions. And the actions that we really believe in is communication, right? Because communication in our mind is the prerequisite for building connections. Only when you have connections can you have conversions. And only if you have conversions can you build that community. So we're all about how do we do more of this communication, but not just how you doing, but like, hey, Aunt, how are you doing? How's your dog doing? How is this 50 over 50 coming along? So now I can personalize it and meet you where you are. And even the world of communication has so much to it, right? There are different channels. You got text, you got email, you got Slack, you got WhatsApp, you got video messaging. It's like it's crazy. And then you also have different people communicating. You have staff communicating with each other. You have prospect conversations. You have customer conversations, and they're all over the place. So again, one of the bigger thing is how do we bring it in-house? So we have the things that we've eliminated leverage that to communicate better. And when I say better, more personalized, that's the elevate the customer experience thing, or the member experience thing, as I like to call it, because that's our name, member experience platform. So we can provide that better, higher level of member experience. So we eliminate things, we activate conversations and communication, and then we elevate the customer experience. And then all that experience is about meeting people where they are, celebrating where they need to be, and coaching them and holding them accountable, because that's what most training gyms sell. It's accountability. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more color. I try to bring it down into 3 of these aspects, if you will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I personally absolutely love it. I was in the bar business. And when I was in the bar business, Danny Meyer was really becoming a prominent member of the restaurant community. Okay. So we had a couple restaurants in New York City that were like high on Zagat. And his thing was all about exactly what you're talking about. Was they had an amazing CRM where you would come in and they would compile these things about somebody. Like, let's say I like my bourbon neat. They would come in and say, "Hey, Mr. Rena, I know you had the whistle pig last time, and you drink it neat. Do you want to try that again?" And you're sitting there saying, "How the hell do they remember that?" Right? And now I'm so happy. I always used to say to people all the time when I was in the bar business, when I was managing bars, I would say, don't worry about remembering somebody's name. Remember their drink. Because when you used to come in, if I had your bourbon neat ready for you and you walked in, you had a few people with you, you were a big shot. You thought you were. Meanwhile, I didn't even remember your name. So I think it's such a missing piece. What you've done is created a piece, and you hit the nail on the head. There is a million things that we have to do as gym owners, as trainers, and then we got 14 different files and notes, and I got my little book here, and I'll write something, and then it doesn't come together. So, what my next question really is, what made you kind of do this and kind of think about, hey, gym, or find out or realize that gym owners needed this service?
Yeah, so let me give you a backstory to that, and because that will basically hopefully connect it better as to what made me start Naamly to begin with. So this is me 10 years ago, around 10 years ago. I used to live in Scripps Ranch. I used to travel the world. I was in my 30s, and from the outside, you would think that I was very, very successful and happy. Because I was traveling the world. We were doing $10 million in revenue for a business that I built. And, life was good. Only it wasn't, because I was traveling so much all the time that I was not there for my wife, my kids. They did not know me from Adam. And there just came a time where I was like, I got to change something. And my health was deteriorating quite a bit. And that's when I signed up with, believe it or not, Todd Durkin's Fitness Quest 10. And so I started working out there. But again, I was traveling so much, I just couldn't keep doing it. And eventually I quit, but I quit both TD's place as well as I quit my business, because in that process, there are a lot of things happening. I decided I need to change something, because I could no longer let the things that I own me, if you will, And when I did that, I relocated to Phoenix, and I signed up a personal trainer, and I said I'm going to start working with him. And what happened was, the more I worked out with him, of course, mentally, physically, I started building up my confidence, and I started getting better. And now, and you start doing one-on-one. He was a gym owner too. So I got lucky. My trainer was the gym owner. And when I started working out with him, I realized that his and my life was very similar, my ex-life, if you will, in the sense that he's getting up early, he's coming up, he's away from his girlfriend, he's training me and other people in, and then he's staying late. So the funny part is, he's not even making money. At least I was making money, Two, I could justify in my head that I was doing this, but he's not making money. And then you become pretty friends with your personal trainer. And I'm like, hey, Jake, like, why don't you follow up with me? Why don't you do this with me? Like, I'm an A-type personality. And that's when he started breaking up things. And he's like, look, man, I want to, I really do. And he showed me his stuff. He's like, there's so much I have to do. I have to worry about paying the rent. I have to worry about the equipment lease. I have to worry about this client canceling. I need to worry about the staff member saying something and sending some inappropriate thing. It's like, it's crazy. I care for you. Yeah. And yet I lose sight. And you know that feeling when you like, you see that person and you see what he's doing and you're like, I can help this. I can fix this. I can do this stuff. And that's how the business found me. Like this new business, like I wasn't looking out for a business. Like I'm going to just focus on my health and not do anything and just focus on my relationships. And as I was doing it, the business just found me because I said, I could fix this. This is in my wheelhouse. And that's how I started working on the first level of Naamly, if you will. And it's grown to where it is today. But yeah, hopefully that gives you some color.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, you were entrenched in this too. It wasn't just, hey, you're some software guy who said, let's build this platform. And you were on the other end of it, kind of saying, obviously, there's a need for this. There's a lot of gym owners out there that are that need this help because, hey, we're all guilty of it. I'm the same way where even when I have a few people and oh yeah, Larry's having knee surgery on the 1st. And oh man, Brad's, ex-wife passed away a couple of years ago. And I always text the kids to say, I'm thinking of them. And I got to remember all these things. Right. And you can't, if you don't have something kind of reminding you or putting it all, it gets overwhelming. So let's go into a little bit more meat and potatoes before we get into some of the member experience ideas. But you talk about you automate these daily tasks. Exactly what's the features, not the benefits. We talked about the benefits for the most part. What exactly are you doing?
Right. That's a great point. So coming specifics, what happens is the more I've looked at the business comes down to some very, very simple things. And actually all businesses come down to very simple things, right?
Sure.
The one part of it is how do we acquire new clients? It's all sales, leads, marketing, but the big category is how do we acquire new clients? Then the next part of it is how do we deliver on that promise that we sold on them? And that's a big missing piece in the space, broadly speaking, right? Because there's so much focus and energy on lead sales acquisition that there's almost nothing on this piece about what does that mean? What do you mean by delivering on it? Now, when I look deeper, delivering really means exactly some things that you spoke about. What are their important dates? What things matter to my client? What things matter to my member? Not to me, but to him or her. And can I make it and break it down in a language that speaks to him or her, right? So in that case, it's birthdays, it's anniversaries, it's kids' birthdays, if you will. And that information is there. It could be also like, hey, I got a promotion or I'm going to be missing next week because I'm flying out for a big deal. That conversations are happening on the floor with the trainer, with the coach, with someone, but it's getting lost in either where. And then that trainer leaves, all that information goes away with you. How cool would it be if you just take the time, put it in, and now you're getting reminded. And now when you use that to reach out and like you said, hey, you wish the person because they had a death in the family and you're reaching out and like checking in on you, like, how the hell does he remember? I mean, you because you care. You care. I don't know of any other community and that cares about their people the way the fitness community does. They'll give their back, they'll give their shirt off their back. That's the way they are. But they're so scattered because they're running in different directions. And also the situation gets further exasperated because the coaches are part-timers. So now they're just doing 10 hours a week or 5 or 15. So it's very difficult. So if you just drop those pieces in, now you can be at your best behavior. So you can do what, a friend and a client of mine uses, PPRO, positive personal reach outs, right? That's a term I picked up from Doug Sperling. And I love that, because that's what it's all about. How do I personalize things? But you can personalize things only if you have data available to you. So we give you that data. How many milestones have they kicked in? Like, have they done their 25th session? Have they done their 10th session? Have they done their 50th session? We bring that data in so you have talking points. That's on the celebration side. Accountability side is, hey, this was the goal that we said. You're going to lose weight. You're going to lose body fat. Are they keeping track? As a client, because I was a client, right? I knew what I wanted and it wasn't happening. And I was like, Jake's not bringing that up. Like, why? Because he's not going to be able to deliver? Or did he really forget? Like, as a client, I know, but especially if I'm a type A personality, I want to know. I'm driven that way. But it would be so cool if you can take charge of the conversation and say, hey, Sumit, we talked about this, but it looks like you're not going to be able to meet your goals because you're not showing up. I haven't seen you in the gym over the last 7 days. Things that we know we need to do, but there's not enough hours in a day to do. We act as that digital assistant to nudge you, to alert you. Here are people that haven't checked in for 7 days or more. Here are people who have just completed the milestone. Here are people, their birthdays are coming in. Here are people that you created a task on saying, I'm going to reach out for their next assessment. All of that stuff, the system alerts you, reminds you, nudges you so that you can then do the work. Does that give some more color?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my next question is, okay, that sounds great, but for example, I loved when I had my mind body and I kind of got into a thing where, I don't want to lose this because they're sending out reminders and it's on my schedule, which is very important for me. But they didn't have this piece of it, obviously. But that's not why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up because, man, it was a bitch to set up. It was rough. And I think they lose a lot of people from that perspective. Can you talk to me like, how does all this stuff happen? Do we send a questionnaire to people? How does this work? And then also the second part of my question is, so if I'm on the floor and I'm training, Mrs. Smith, and then she says, yeah, Victor's birthday next week, I want to take him to a really nice restaurant. I think we're going to go to this. So then next week, do I like get my phone out and be like, Victor's birthday is coming up? Or do I wait to kind of mental note, put it in afterwards, just input some data? How does that work? So how does it get set up? And then how does it work on the fly?
Perfect. So I'll answer the second question first, and then I'll go to the setup, right? Okay. Because we have both kind of clients. It really comes down to the individual. Human beings are complex beings that way, right? Like what may work for you, the way your brain is wired is different than my brain is wired. So we've built in a lot of redundancies in the system so that you can pretty much do the same thing from different ways. And it's not like a typical software in the sense, because softwares are so boring, right? If you think about it, like, and again, one of the bigger tenets that we worked off of is you go to reporting. A reporting is more about do this, and then you go somewhere else to do the actual work. Because a report, as the word suggests, is a report. You can't do anything with it. You now see it, but you do something else. We probably are the only ones that have brought it together, from the best of my knowledge, where the report is an actionable report. So you see this and you can act all from that one same screen. So it tells you this is the date, boom, send the message now, kind of thing. Now, of course, data in, data out, garbage in, garbage out. How does the data come in? To your point is depends upon the person. It could be, yes, I'm talking to the customer and I could pull out, because we have a mobile phone too app as well, not just a desktop. You can put in the information on the note, on the date right there. Or you could say, you know what, I'm a trainer, I don't do this. There's an admin in my team that does it. And that's the beauty. We brought these communication channels in so you can tag her and say, hey, admin, just FYI. And now they can take it over, depending on, again, what the business is. Or a third thing is, no, you have a strict policy. We don't take out phones during our sessions, in which case it's like, fine, let the session end, but there is this transition period, and then you just go in 2 seconds, just put it in, you're done, basically. So those are the three different ways you can go about inputting the information in. Now, what we do for you, though, part of the setup thing is, if that information is sitting in your CRM like a mind body, we will bring that information over anyways, automatically through integration. So it's something that you don't even need to do duplicate, double entry, if you will, kind of a thing. So that's one part of the setup that you spoke about. The other part of the setup is we're there for you. We're there with you because, like any business, like coming back to that member experience, the reality is, even if a small training gym charges $200-300 a month per customer, if those people just stay longer and pay longer, that lifetime value is very, very high. Think about it. If an average gym owner, training gym space, just stays 3 years, that's 300 times 12, that's 3,600 times 3, right? That if you look at the back of the on-road, that's over 10 grand. That's just that one person, not the referrals they're giving, not the money that they're going to buy in terms of shakes or other upsells or other things, right? Or family members they bring in. None of that. This is just that one person. So why wouldn't we take care of the person, even from a financial perspective and also from the impact perspective? Because if they stay longer, not only do they pay longer, but they get better results. So, which is what you sought out to achieve anyways. So the way we look at it is the same thing, same philosophy. You come into my ecosystem, we will take care of you. We will provide these onboarding sessions if you need them. Or if you're a DIY, I found out a lot of training gym owners are DIY kind of people. We have videos, we have tutorials, we have stuff, do it on your own kind of a thing. So different crowd, cater to different, this thing, long-winded way of saying it just comes down to the kind of person you are and what appeals to you most. And for the most part, we would have taught that through, because now we have hundreds of training gyms and a lot of leading training gyms using our platform. And it's grown from the grounds up, man. Every conversation has led us to, we should build that. We should do that. And we have.
Yeah, I love it. And I see that. That's how you and I met, right? I think you're walking the walk with Naamly as well. I was speaking at Results Fitness. You reached out to me. You were there. You reached out. Fun. That's a crazy thing too. Just we'll always have that, Sumi, because it was the weekend when the world shut down. March of 2020.
Very day, the flights were getting canceled. We were there. 16th of March or something.
Yeah, I had to get out. I got out a little bit early. I was supposed to leave Saturday, but I left Friday because I was like, I didn't even have a flight. I'm on the road calling Delta saying, do you have any other flights? And got one, thank God. But that you preached that, but you also walked that. I've seen you at Perform Betters. I've seen your on social media, your travel schedule and going to conferences and connecting with a lot of people and really understanding what we're doing here. I absolutely love that. But I want to go just mention the lifetime value again. Really important. You like to say, I think one of the best sayings is, get them to stay longer and pay longer. And lifetime value of client is something that people don't understand how important that is, because it gives you a window into what you can spend also on acquiring new clients. If you have an idea about, hey, the average lifetime of a client here is 3 years, and that's a little over 10 grand, then if I say, hey, Sumi, if you bring somebody in, I'm going to give you an iPad, for example. If you bring in 3 people, just for a trial, because I know my conversion rate is 60%. You're going to bring in 3 people. I know I'm going to convert 2 of them. And if I convert 2 of them, then hey, that's over $20,000 lifetime value of client. What's an iPad over to Sumi? Because, he just really brought me in 20 grand. So when I started to understand those numbers, it changes everything about not only what you're doing for retention, but now you can, it's going to change the way your sales process goes or your referral process. So I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, no, like you said, the money is always on the back end, man. And I think we know that, we read that, But somewhere we lose sight of that because we remember Susie, who started with us and has followed us with us over the years, but we forget the Johnsons, right? Or, someone else who just slipped through the cracks because that week I got 3 new leads and I started focusing on those and I forgot about the renewal that was coming up, or this person hasn't come in for 5 days or 10 days. And now, like the harder it becomes if you don't check in on them at that point in time. It's not because you just waited. It's the little things that slip, right? And that's the whole idea. And that's because people get sucked into their businesses. You're getting consumed by the daily operations, the daily minutia of work that needs to happen. And business is tough. I mean, it's simple from the think of what to do, but it's tough as hell to do. The execution part, right, is so tough. So
Absolutely.
That's the whole idea. Like, how do we do that? We don't lose sight of those people, because then those people will stay longer. And now you don't have to, and that's money really on your bottom line. Like you were saying, but just before the show, and you were telling me about your bar thing, don't worry about the line outside. Just worry about the people inside. Take care of them, provide them this world-class experience. You actually promise them that you are going to be different. You're not a global gym. You're not a big box. You are a member here. You are my personal thing. But somewhere, once we close that deal, we move on and we forget that promise that we made to that person, because truth be told, there's some fun in chasing 100%.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, I got this. But do you even have money set aside to celebrate these clients? But you're spending money on Facebook ads. You're spending money on leads and gens. I'm not saying you don't have to. I'm just saying be cognizant of the people that are making you earn your money, making the gym still tick and paying those bills, if you will. It's the current customers.
Absolutely. It's really, when it comes down to it too, it's organic growth, right? And I love what you talked about. You promised them, by the way. And what I liked was, I'll give you an example. When I sold my gym, I was still in the same building, and the guy that was downstairs, he was taking it over and he was doing a good job. But what happened was he started a program, and I'm not afraid to say it was called Gym Launch. And I'm not saying anything bad about Gym Launch, but if you are not prepared for the influx of people that are going to come in, so he's spending $1,000 like a month or more, like $1,500 a month on Facebook ads, and he spent like another $1,500 on the program. Okay, so he had to get these people, and so he would have to get 30 people in. Great, he got those 30 people, but what now happened was, out of those 30 people, there was 100 people calling. And then out of those 100 people calling, there was 50 people that actually came in for an appointment to go over the the free consultation. Who's taking those calls? Who's calling those people back? Who's following up on those leads? Who is meeting with those people? So now you worried so much about getting all these people, that now the people that were over there that have been so good to you, they've been your best people. They've been coming in. They've been your loyal followers. They've been tagging you on Facebook and saying, I'm over at the gym. Isn't this great? Now you left them over in the corner because you're so crazy with all the other crap you got to do for this. So what you're talking about, builds organic growth. This really does build referrals. They pay longer, so you don't have to worry about grabbing 30 people all at a time right away.
So true. I mean, it's also not putting that stress on the front end, if you will, to the employees, to yourself. Like, imagine you're just getting 2 a month, 3 a month. Most training gyms, they don't need hundreds and hundreds of people. Most training gyms, if they just had 150 clients, you could actually be leading very close to $1 million in revenue. You could be doing with 150 clients if you just had good, solid ops and systems in place and the right price point. You can be doing that. We have gyms doing that with 150 clients. Just take care of them. And most training gyms are in that thing. So you don't need 30 people to come in. That's a different model altogether, right? That's more class-based model, as opposed to a small group personalized training kind of a model. But yeah, I agree with you, man, 100%.
Yeah. And let's talk about now moving forward, we're going to have the Naamly member experience segment. And I want to just talk about really quick from your perspective. And this is what's really cool about this is kind of Sumit's like coming out party, because he's been behind the scenes and so many people have been saying, you have such amazing knowledge. This is an amazing product, but you haven't been out there as much. And this is all part of that, which is really cool. That the Strength Coach podcast is going to be part of that, and get my listeners are going to get to really learn from your experience about member experience. So what does that really mean to you? And what can we expect moving forward with this segment?
Perfect. No, thank you. Yeah, that is true. It is a little bit of a coming out party, or for my case, it's a lot of stress, man. I just don't do well in front of being in front of camera or this. At least I'm telling myself I'm just talking to you, and that's why it's, that kind of a thing. But it's scary, but you still take those baby steps, but and I feel that I'm able to take these baby steps because of the coaching I went through, because of my coach, because of my trainer. And I'm scared, I'm afraid, but I'm also excited. It's kind of a mixed bag of emotions because of that. But it would not have happened had it not been for my coach, seriously. So, and that's what fuels me, and that's what drives me. Coming to the member experience part of it, I think conceptually, it really comes down to, you can look at it from 2 to 3 different angles. Angle number one is the member experience when the person is in the gym, right? What all face-to-face, what all can we be doing, can I be doing to provide that experience better? Now, there are studies after studies which says use their name, tactile, touch them. I don't know about COVID though, but touch is all over this thing, but touch them, give them those cues, that kind of a thing. That's one piece of it, the session itself. The other part of it is, what should I be doing outside the gym? And that's where there's so many programs out there which capture a lot of those details, which is like the other 165, right? They're 168 hours in a week. Well, now you're like, hey, 3 hours they're coming in. What about 165 doing this? What do we do that? That's one. Or if they're coming in twice a week, the other 5. Like, there's so many ways to it. But what do we do when they're outside the gym? Because life is happening outside the gym. The third is, it's just not it's we, it's the team, because the gym owner can't do everything on their own. So how do I get my staff on the same page? Staff that's coming from different backgrounds, different experiences, staff that even different certifications, so different way of doing things, and then also part-timers versus full-timers, different, all of that. So how do we bring all of those pieces together? So as I look at it, there are really 3 parts: leveraging your staff, bringing them on the same page, empowering them to not only provide that standardized, consistent experience in the gym, but also outside the gym. So it's no longer, hey, Ant does it really well, so it's an Ant thing, versus no, Naamly as a company does it. It doesn't matter whether it's Ant or Sumit or someone else. That's just their culture. That's the way they do things, because that's the way they're ingrained in doing things, that kind of stuff. So
Absolutely.
Those are the 3 things.
Love it. And we obviously try to keep this positive, but let's talk about the elephant in the room with staff, right? And when people are doing their own thing with those members, sometimes you could lose track of what's happening. This is putting it all in one place, so you can actually monitor with your staff. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 people, like you said, everybody's different. Somebody might be championing your program. The other one might be like, this, Ant's gym sucks. You should come to me. And they're trying to poach your clients. That is a real thing. And this does safeguard you from that as well. And then also, it's an easier ramp up when you have somebody new. Hey, this is how it's going to work. And as a manager, you can help them along and make sure that communication is happening, because Naamly's taking care of it.
Yeah, 100%. I think there, again, 2 sides. One is, not only does it help you from that poaching that is so rampant in the space. Because where will the trainers go if they have to go outside? They will go to the very grounds that they built those relationships with. And then the conversation, I owned a staffing company, and this used to happen with me all the time. And the same business, it's the same fundamentals. I was just doing it at a macro level.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're the provider. So you're the trainer, you're the provider. To me, it was like, you're the consultant, you have the expertise. Why are we paying the company that brought you in here? Let's just do it together. Hey, let's just do it together and I'll give you a discount. Let's do it. Because people forget about the overhead, the equipment, the other people that are putting in the work. And that's how most trainers who start off, they're like, I'm going to kill this because I just get paid $30 an hour here and I'm going to charge $100. These guys are killing it. And when they start out, they're like, uh-oh,
yeah,
now I understand. Now I'm a prisoner to my own business. The business was supposed to give me freedom, but now I'm a prisoner to it because you forget all the other things that happen. So that's one part of it. But then there we have owners that believe in the work-life balance for their staff also. They're like, hey, if you're always there, then trainer burnout is also a real thing because you're getting messages in the night. You're never switched off. So this is what the system also helps in doing. So depending on what lenses you wear, it's like, not only does it give me work-life balance and helps my trainers to have longevity in the system, but it also protects my business. And during COVID, we found out protection is so key, because most gyms that survived COVID were the ones that had truly built that community. Imagine, think about it. People were paying to be on Zoom classes because they believed in you. And that's the whole idea, because you were able to protect because of your community. And that's the whole idea. How do we build that community? How do we build that culture to build that community?
I love it. And I'm so excited about the Naamly member experience segment here on the Strength Coach podcast. And, for everybody out there, as always, go to Naamly.com, NAAMLY.com, and you can schedule a demo. So now you got a really good feel, but this will give you an even better feel. Get the demo, use the referral code Strength Coach, and you can get started on your free 30-day trial. So, Sumit, thanks for doing this, bud. I mean, I've been bugging you for a while. I'm really glad you're going to start to really put yourself out there and allow everyone to really get a better feel for what you have to offer, because you have a lot to offer, and we're excited about being part of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone. Thank you for nudging me and not letting go of me. I mean, you're a coach, man. That's the best part. So you believing in me and you seeing that stuff, I appreciate it. So here we are.